The agro-food sector in Europe and the SMEs are a very strategic and a very important sector for our industry. In particular, 99% of the companies are SMEs, and this is a sector which contributes significantly in terms of employment, in terms of jobs, in terms of economic growth. There are many situations which are difficult for the SMEs in the present situation: access to finance, difficulties in productivity, differences or difficulties related to IPR. What is important is that the European Union is trying to develop a strategy to tackle with a comprehensive approach all the problems of the agro-food industry and to deliver specific solutions to the problems of the sector. It is always a challenge when you are dealing with industrial policy to take into account the specific features of different sectors. However, I think the experience that we have developed in very good cooperation with the sector, with the companies, with the member states, with the stakeholders, leads to allowing us to develop some initiatives. The group, the high-level group on the agro-food industries, which was created in 2009, is a very good example of how we can reconcile the horizontal strategic industrial policy while at the same time catering for the problems of the sector. We are very pleased with the good work that it has delivered, and we think that it plays a very important role in identifying the problems, but more importantly in finding also the solutions to those problems. I think that my nomination as Director General of Industry, I think it was good news for the SMEs that I kept the functions, because never before the Director General of Industry was the SME Envoy. So the function of SME Envoy in a way has been upgraded. I think there have already been achievements in the past year. First of all, the review of the Small Business Act, concentrating the priorities to support a very strong SME policy in Europe. Second, the creation of the network of SME envoys. It's not just the European SME envoy. We have now 27 SME envoys in each country, and we work together to put in place a coherent and a very ambitious policy to support the SMEs. Third, simplification. We are doing a lot of progress in this area. You know, our target is to be able to create a company in 3 days, maximum deadline, with a maximum cost of 100 euros. This remains the objective, and more countries in Europe are going in this direction. But we also want to put the SME test in place. Before coming with new legislation, before coming with new rules, we should evaluate the impact on SMEs, and if the impact is not positive, this legislation should be reconsidered. We have also worked in access to finance, in access to markets, so I think there have been already significant achievements, significant progress, and we are working very closely with the stakeholders, with the SMEs, so I think we are on the right track. The important problem for any SME, from the food industry or from any other sector, is access to finance. And here, this is precisely the biggest problem we have, because our statistics show that many SMEs have not been able to achieve the financing that they were requesting to the banks. In December of last year, the Commission adopted an SME action plan to facilitate access to finance, to make more possible, more accessible the financing in the European economy. We have created the SME Finance Forum, where we have representatives of SMEs, representatives of the banks, discussing the issues and trying to find solutions. But we need to work in all areas: loan guarantees, venture capital, microfinance, business angels. It is very important in a situation where there are economic problems to identify and to mobilize all the resources. There will also be significant support from the European Union. The new COSME program is going to propose 1.4 billion euros for the period 2014-2020, competitiveness and growth of SMEs. So this is very important. The other important area of work is internationalization. We need to develop a strategy to facilitate greater access to markets from our SMEs, in particular also in the food industry. And we are launching what we call missions for growth, going with European companies, with European SMEs, trying to facilitate the opportunities in many countries. Only 1 out of 8 companies exports outside of the EU. Only 1 out of 4 does so in the internal market. There are huge opportunities, there are huge possibilities, and we need to be more active in this area. Third is simplification. We need to do a big effort in Europe in cutting red tape, reducing bureaucracy, eliminating administrative burden. The Commission is willing to do so. We are doing a big effort of review of European legislation. Our objective is for next year to reduce 25% the administrative burden for SMEs, but we need to work also more closely with the member states so that at national level this is also done. But there is something very, very important, and this is to make it possible in Europe to promote more entrepreneurial spirit. Europe is lagging behind other regions of the world, the United States, Asia, and we need to make it possible to have more entrepreneurs, to have more people who dare to launch their own business. And at the same time, this requires an effort in skills, in training, and in making some of the sectors, in particular the food industry, attractive for young people. And I think this is really a key challenge on which we intend to work very actively in the coming months, in the coming years, and this remains a very important priority for this DG.